What's going on, bro? I'm Coogee, actually.
Coogee.
Yeah, so Louis the co-owner to the website I work with.
Okay, my bad.
How
Coogee.
you doing, bro?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Nice to finally meet you, man.
Likewise. I'm flattered that you want to talk to me.
Like you probably don't know, but to people who lived through the blog era, and people who are my age who had to go to to DJBooth exclusively, you're the man. For real.
Thank you. I'm flattered and I feel extremely old, but I'll take it.
Nah, I mean you can't be that much older than me, so it's not even an old comment. It's just I was really young when that was happening, and it was
right.
the best thing ever. The blog era to me is the golden era, for anyone older. So it's to me.
I miss it too.
Before we get into the interview, what's your favorite blog era moment? For me, it was the Good Fridays. Every Friday / Saturday morning, I was just oh my god. What was yours?
I mean, I have stories for days. I would say, I forget the year, but at one point, DJBooth collaborated with Two Dope Boys and Last Rites. We did a South by Southwest showcase. We had all of Black Hippie, Big Crit, Macklemore and Ryan Lewis, all on the bill for free. And yeah, I mean, it was just, looking back on it, it's incredible. And this was before any of them really blew up.
That's incredible. And
yeah.
those are the things I love to hear, because it's you had to be there /
right.
remember it. Just that's nuts, man.
The story behind that actually is incredible. So TDE never actually made it out onto the stage. They were backstage. We had the event at this venue called the Dizzy Rooster.
Yep.
And Schoolboy Q was rolling up a blunt, and the I don't know if he was the manager of the venue or the stage manager. He asked him to put the weed away, and Q said, "Absolutely, as soon as I'm done rolling up this blunt." And the guy didn't like that answer. He wanted it done immediately.
Yeah.
And he went to grab the weed out of Q's hands, and a fight broke out backstage. We had to separate everybody. Q ended up getting arrested. He never performed. He actually had trouble flying out of the country for a few years for touring as a result of the implications of that arrest. It's unfortunate that happened, but people know of that story. I hate that that's the memory that they have of the showcase and not the performance. It pains me to know that we missed out on a Black Hippie performance at that showcase, but nonetheless, yeah, those were the days, man.
It's crazy. Even that's a statement. Those are the days. It feels it feels like yesterday. You know what I mean?
I've been doing this for a long time, and so I've had to empty my hard drive over the years, and so I wish I had written down more so that I could remember sort of the day-to-day minutia of that time. I also have a 3-year-old at home. And are you a parent?
Yeah, I have a son. He's 1.
Okay, so once you have a kid, man, your brain just fucking turns to mush overnight.
It's one long day forever.
It pretty much is. It's Groundhog's Day these days.
Man, how is that? How is balancing being a full-time blogger, doing Audiomack, being a parent? That's a lot of those are a lot of big commitments. Talk how you working through it, transitioning into being.
Did we officially start yet, or is this just us shooting the shit?
We're just shooting the shit. This is
okay.
It's called Kicking It for the reason.
Yeah, no, cool. It's hard. It's really hard. I'm still figuring it out, right? So my daughter's 3, and I'm still trying to maintain a balance so that I'm productive. I am able to do everything that I need to keep my businesses running at such a high level, but also be an active parent and a good husband to my wife.
Absolutely.
They don't tell you this when you're a kid, but as you get older and the responsibilities mount, you don't get increased amount of hours in a day. And so you keep on having more stuff added onto your plate, but there's only 24 hours to work with. Probably the biggest thing for me is not letting my mental health and my physical health go. Because typically what you do is you prioritize other people, your family members, your business, and then next thing you know, you've never taken care of yourself. It's like when you're on an airplane, they tell you before you put the mask on yourself, put it on, before you put your mask on the child, put it on yourself. And the reason is because if you're incapacitated, you can't put it on your child. So you need to put it on yourself first. Take care of yourself so that you can physically and mentally take care of the other person. It's the same thing. I've been trying to remind myself to take care of myself first. Otherwise, I'm no good to anybody.
Wow. Like 5 minutes of this conversation, this story, amazing gem.
Oh man, I'm brutally candid and transparent. I don't believe it does anybody a benefit when people, make shit up. I'm honest. I think honesty is what everyone needs. People feel more comfortable around people who are honest. So that's my subscription. That's what I subscribe to.
No, that's how you absolutely have to be, especially like during these crazy times. Like, how are you keeping creative during COVID? I'm sure it put everything on the back burner. I'm sure you had so many things planned, like transition to that. Like, let's talk about that. Just keep.
Yeah, I mean, there were things that we were doing that creatively require you to be in the same room as other people.
Yeah.
So that had to be put aside. There's several video series that we film where we have not been able to shoot new episodes. Our recording studios in New York have been closed. So that's on a creative side. Zoom calls are great. I'm glad we're able to connect over Zoom, but when you do them for hours on end every day, they're exhausting. They're mentally exhausting. My daughter, who's in preschool, they were trying to do the remote learning through Zoom, and she'd cry every time she connected. And I thought to myself, like, I'm a 36-year-old adult, and I can't handle it every day, having to be on all day. Yeah. I don't blame my daughter for who doesn't, she still hasn't figured out how to do the in-person relationship meeting thing.
Yeah, before the FaceTime thing. It's weird.
Yeah.
I feel
Get out of here, right? Yeah.
I definitely feel her. Yeah, it's been a lot of weird, like, having to adjust. That's definitely like the word of the day, I would say. Just adjusting to everything going on. It takes a toll. After all this, what's the first thing you have to do? Like, for me, I have to go to a concert. That's the first thing I need to do. If we ever get through this, I need to go to a concert. I deserve it.
I would probably say I need to take my wife on a date. It's been a while since the two of us have been able to go out. As a parent yourself, you can appreciate this. It's very rare that you get the same amount of freedom and flexibility and time to yourself once you bring a child into the world. And so the past March, April, May, June, July, so we're going on 5+ months now of being in servitude to my daughter. I'd love a night out, just the two of us, even if it's for an hour at a restaurant. Don't have to worry about doing dishes afterward. Sure. It doesn't even have to be a nice restaurant. As long as I don't have to shop for the food or make the meal or clean it up or do dishes. I mean, we can go to Mickey D's. As long as we have an hour to ourselves, that would be beautiful.
I hope that happens super soon, bro. You
Me too.
Deserve that.
Thank you so much. On a more grand scale, I haven't taken a vacation since my honeymoon. So, I mean, we're going on 5 years since I've taken any vacation. I don't want to sound spoiled because, like, not everybody gets to take vacations.
Yeah.
When you work 60 to 80 hours a week, year in and year out, like, it takes its toll. I'd love a week off. And by week off, I mean, like, completely disconnected from the internet. No phone, no computer. I've not taken a trip in 5 years where I've not spent the entire trip working in some way, shape, or form. So that'd be great. Let's manifest all of this. What about you? You said a concert. What else do you want to do? Let's make these things happen by talking about them out loud.
Honestly, so we just so I run a hip hop website called The Daily Note. Yep. And we've been like moving the best we ever have in our like 5-year run, and we just got a studio. So like I definitely want to manifest having that running on its own, blogging a lot more, doing more merchandise. So like all my like goals are just very like make my work for me. You know what I mean? And it's like, go ahead.
And the only way that you get to that place is just patience and time and experience. No skipping steps, no jumping the line, just letting it all fall into place. And that's hard for a lot of people because people are very impatient.
But fortunately, I love this thing. I love hip hop. I love sharing music. I like talking music. Honestly, like a lot of like coming into this, I'm like, yo, wow, I'm really like in an interview like Z. I'm just like, I just kind of want to talk to him. You know what I mean?
Well, I hope I'm not disappointing to you. I hope I'm as
No, not at
interesting as
all.
maybe you thought I would be.
No, not at all. Because I was doing a little homework pre, and I'm just like, yo, all his interviews are like a lot of the same questions, and it's like, if I've been following you for years, so it's like I feel like I know you. So I'm like, let me just have this conversation with this one of the godfathers of blog, like the blog game, and just talk, shoot the shit. So I'm glad you're just like, you didn't expect anything more, because I'm just like, let's just talk.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a little weird for me, given that for years I was the one doing the interviews, asking all the questions. So it is. I mean, I'm completely humbled, and I respect anyone who reaches out who is interested in speaking to me. But it's still a little weird being on the receiving end of the questions. I don't know if I'll ever get used to that. I'm the one who likes to just grill the other person. So during our conversation today, don't be surprised if I flip the script and I turn a question back on you. It's just it's the way my brain is wired.
Trust me, it's awesome. I'm happy this is just happening, bro.
Awesome.
So, let's talk Audiomack. So I've always been on the wave, just because like, not even to like, so I like SoundCloud, of course, but I've always thought Audiomack looked cleaner. So I've always used it. So I had no idea that one of my favorite blogs you had anything to do with it. Let's talk about that. How did we get there?
Great question. So DJBooth started in 2003.
Okay.
In 2005, I met Dave Mackley, who's my business partner, and I pitched him on the idea of reshaping DJBooth from a DJ-only oriented platform into a full-scale online music magazine. Mm-hmm. He loved the idea, and we grew the company over many years. And then in 2012, which is like still peak of the blog era, a lot of artists were really just haphazardly releasing their music to the internet. So you had a lot of file sharing services mm-hmm. that served their purpose as file sharing services, but didn't work well for artists trying to disseminate their music. And so when it came time to release a lot of free mixtapes, artists would upload to, Mega Upload and Z-Share and Lime Links and all of those. Yeah, and the problem there is those platforms were never created with the intention of being music distribution services. And so really they were platforms that were built to just generate page view money. And so as a result, you had to worry about pop-up ads and malware, and if you were a kid at the time, ruining your family computer just to, in the name of downloading a new mixtape. So for a period of time, DJBooth started hosting artist mixtapes. We had hosted work from Wiz Khalifa and Big Crit and Yellow Wolf and a lot of other blog era gods.
I remember this.
I'm sure you were on the site downloading them. The truth, though, is that was not our business model. We had not built DJBooth with the intention of being a mixtape hosting site. And there were other mixtape hosting sites at the time, specifically DatPiff. But we saw that there was a need to provide artists with a better tool or a better tool belt. Yep. So rather than continue to try to host mixtapes on DJBooth, Dave, myself, and 3 other founders of the company built Audiomack as a tool for artists to better disseminate their material online. It was a desktop site to begin with because that's where everybody was at the time. Yep. This also predates, Spotify's entrance into the U.S. music market. It predates Tidal. It predates Apple Music. At the time, really, SoundCloud existed, but a lot of people were uploading to YouTube, sort of the wild, wild west. Yeah. I hoped that it would become what it is today back in 2012, but, I'd be lying to you if I said that I knew for sure. That would be, as the kids say, cap. I think I used that correctly. That's the genesis of the company.
That's amazing, because there's like so much music from just back in the day, like just back from like 2010, '09, like that would just drop on Zippy Share for that 3-month period, and it's like I can't find it anymore. For example, I just So Appalled by Kanye West leaked in '09. I remember DJ Thorough. It was on like a DJ Thorough mixtape, right? And that's like one of my favorite Kanye West songs ever. I finally found it again like a week ago because it leaked again. And it's like there's so much music that's like so pivotal to like my life that I can't find because these Zippy Shares and these mega uploads and Hulk Share and all these things. So it's like, yeah, you're right. You bridge that gap.
There's a period of music history specific to hip hop and hip hop adjacent artists that is going to be lost forever.
Yeah.
So all this music was created. It was haphazardly thrown on the internet using these services that I mentioned. And it was then after that highlighted on a lot of blogs that are no longer in business, whose websites at some point in time, if they haven't already been taken down, will be gone. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, it's sort of sad because a significant moment in history as it pertains to the growth of a genre and the exit of the CD era and the entrance into the streaming space is going to be sort of like lost into the ether. Yeah. And it's unfortunate. My hope is that a lot of the artists who released significant projects at that time are able to, in a cost-effective manner, go back, get a lot of sample clearance work done, and then retroactively get that material added to all the DSPs now. The unfortunate reality, though, is that that process is very expensive, and most of those artists don't have the capital on hand to go back and try to get those projects made available on DSPs. The other question, too, is the investment even worth it? And so a lot of these artists have to weigh the cost benefit. How many streams is this project going to have to receive over how many years to justify me dropping, you know, $100,000, $200,000 in sample clearance fees now? It's tough. You've seen it with Wiz Khalifa. You've seen it with Mac Miller. You've seen it with Big Crit. Fortunately, all of them are still, well, Mac sadly is gone, but their music is still relevant today. A lot of the artists who maybe had a moment or a run from like 2008 to 2013, but they're not active anymore or they're not signed any longer, they're going to have a harder climb up the hill.
Because even Drake just recently put out the So Far Gone project, and that's like,
right.
That's like the golden project of this whole era. Like one of them, one of the few. So even that, like I was looking up, because More About Nothing just turned 10. And I was trying to find out streaming service. I'm like, fuck, even this project, which is like, to me, a top 10 mixtape of that era, it's hard to get on. It's just like that era of music, that time is just gonna, like you said, it just disappears. It's fucking weird.
Yeah, it sucks.
There's so many Lil Wayne songs, because I was buying mixtapes like up the street on Broad Street near my house, and like there's so many Wayne songs that I haven't heard in 10 years that I can't find.
And I'm sure Wayne probably forgot that he even recorded all of them. Yeah. Because at the time he was recording, you know, 80 hours of new music and features a week, which is why in interviews his own lyrics have been read back to him, and he's on multiple occasions he's asked the interviewer, like, is that my verse, or is that my song? I can't even imagine having to memorize all that material.
It was such a time, man. We could probably do 3 more interviews about how much we love that era, bro, because it was the greatest for me. That's again,
really was.
I call it my hip hop golden era for sure. So let's.
I mean, I just want to say I feel fortunate that I fell into DJBooth at a time where this all existed, because that charted the path for DJBooth to succeed, for Audiomack to be born, and for me to be in a position where you want to talk to me today. So that definitely has never been lost on me.
That's awesome, man. No, like that, like I'm happy to like know that you've been doing this for so long and it's still like you love it. So it seems, without you even saying it, I can just still tell you love this.
I do love it. I have moments where I hate it, but you know, that's life, right? No one loves everything all the time. That's not realistic. I mostly hate just like the emails. I love the music. The emails can go away.
I was gonna ask you something. So during this quarantine, and for a while, I've noticed that you're one of the few people in this industry who, one, provide these free platforms, and two, you try to like pre-warn artists about everything, producers about everything. So like, talk about that. Talk about that side of it, where it's like, we've seen I don't even know what it's called, but it's like people, like artists hitting up new artists, $500 for a project. Let's talk about that side of it. The shady spot. Like, I feel like your Twitter has become like, yo, this is fake. Don't do this shit. Like, you become like that person right now. It's awesome. So
yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm sort of like the call the scam out guy.
Yeah, it's good though, because you know what the fuck you're talking about.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say that I fell into that role, but I've always felt like I needed to be an artist advocate.
Mm-hmm.
And so from the earliest point in time with DJBooth through to Audiomack, and now separately and individually on Twitter, I've always gone out of my way to be a resource. And the primary objective there is I didn't really have any mentors or guidance as I got into any of this. I came from a radio background, and when I left radio and decided to put all my eggs in the DJBooth basket, I didn't have editors or writers who I had on speed dial. I didn't have anyone who answered my questions. I had to figure everything out as we went. Yep. We've survived as an independent publication for 17 years now.
Congratulations, by the way. That's incredible.
Thank you so much. With no funding, no investors, with a skeleton team. We're talking about, at no point have we ever had more than 3 full-time employees. For most of the 17 years, we only had 2 full-time employees, one of which was me. And so we've always operated with this very limited individuals and assets. And it's been important to me to know that I can be an asset to others mm-hmm. and help them, because I didn't get that help. And I'm not pissed off about it, because it is what it is.
Of course.
But it certainly would have been easier if we had that help, if I had that help. So I'm just trying to give back and do for others what I didn't necessarily have myself.
Paying it forward. That's awesome. I think that's very important. I feel like I wish more people that know as much as you and can, break other artists and break other writers would share this information, because this is a really cutthroat industry. There's a lot to learn. And you said earlier, experience is like one of the best things, and it's hard to get experience if you don't know what to do. So like I know so many artists who have gotten scammed or like paid for a blog post, and it's like at that point it's not even worth, like it just kind of makes this thing we love become like shady.
Yeah, no, I mean, seeing a lot of artists whose careers I've followed, whose music that I've listened to, seeing them take part in a lot of these shady practices and these scams. Number one, it's disheartening. Mm-hmm. But beyond that, it will forever affect the way that I listen to their work. I can't see their name or hear their music and not immediately go to that place. I can't not. Now, a common reaction is, well, they're not doing anything awful, right? They're not murdering anybody, they're not raping anybody. Immediately we go to this like worst case scenario place. Mm-hmm. And it's a destructive mindset, right? There obviously are levels. No one's saying that an artist taking advantage of another artist for a $500 mixtape placement is akin to committing murder. Like, obviously, duh, yeah, sure. Right? But it all sucks, right? There are levels to it, but that doesn't change the fact that we often look up to artists, singers, celebrities in a certain light, and then they disappoint us. And absolutely. Some people are able to still enjoy the art and separate the artist from that art and not let whatever they're doing in their life, shady practice, legal or otherwise, affect that. I can't do it. Kudos to those who can. Yeah. So it absolutely affects the way that I support them or lack thereof, and my enjoyment of their music, both new and back catalog.
Damn. Again, very valid though, because all the people I've seen, I'm just like, damn, why? For what? Like, it's just very whack. It's very tacky. But doing this for as long as you have, doing this, following a lot of the people I have, it's become kind of a norm. So where I'm just like, I'm used to it, but it's fucked that we're used to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it sucks.
Let's talk about one of my favorite bloggers in the world who happens to write for DJ Booth, who up until recently, he followed my last Twitter account, but he got suspended. I'm so sad because I don't want to ask him for a follow-up. Yo, is it pronounced yo?
Yo.
Yo. He is, without a doubt, one of the best writers I've ever seen. How the fuck did you find this amazing writer, bro? Like, he's one of the few people I read even if it's a project I don't care, I'm reading his review.
Well, first of all, it warms my heart to hear you say that, and I know it'll warm his heart as well. So Yo was introduced to me through our original managing editor. His name is Nathan Slavic. He was with us for years. Nathan hasn't been with the company since 2015 or 16. My memory isn't what it once was. So at the time, Yo was writing, I believe, for a blog that was run by his aunt or a family member, but he was doing it for fun. He does not have any formal education in journalism. Okay. He just has a love and a passion for writing, and he wanted to get into the literary space. He had hit up Nathan. Nathan had published his work on what at the time was our sister site, Refined Hype, that doesn't exist anymore.
I do remember.
Refined Hype at one point merged into DJ Booth. We basically just folded the website's editorial arm into DJ Booth. Okay. And Yo was a contractor, and we gave him a job. He was working, I believe, at Olive Garden at the time, and was just miserable serving salad and breadsticks.
This is in Georgia, right?
In Atlanta.
Yep.
And we gave him an opportunity to join the team. His growth as a writer over the past 5+ years is incredible. His growth as a human being in lockstep with that writing is incredible. He's an incredible human being, which is why I think a lot of people connect with his writing. You know, the difference between Yo and as well as Donna Claire Chesman, who's our managing editor and has long been a writer for us as well. The reason why people connect with Yo's work and Donna's work in particular, not to take anything away from anyone else who has had a byline on our platform, is they're brutally honest, they're transparent, they're candid, and they let our readers into their world. And so you mentioned that if Yo writes a piece, and it's not about an artist that you necessarily love or even that you're familiar with, you'll still read it. And that's a credit to him, both as a writer and as a person, for getting you interested enough in him to know that as long as he's a part of the story as the author, the teller of the story, you're in on that story. Yeah. And that's a very rare quality amongst wordsmiths these days. People don't have any real loyalty to platforms. It's primarily just a loyalty to the authors. So they're loyal to the byline or to the @ handle. And the fact is that Yo and Donna have done such an incredible job of appealing in the way that you found comfort and enjoyment in.
Yeah, it just kind of, when they write, both of them, because again, I've been following this site forever, I feel like all the posts you guys put out, they're genuine, they feel real. It's just a different way of connecting to music, because it's right now music's in this weird spot, especially hip hop, where it's like everything's super fast, and this is the fastest I feel like it's ever been, and things come and go. But it's like, to know that other people still kind of analyze music like I do, or like, I hate the term, but like it's like hip hop heads do. It's good. It's just refreshing, I guess. Your website still gives me that DJ Booth gives me that like authentic blog era feel all the time, because that's what it feels like. It's awesome.
I'm really happy to hear that. You know, we've changed a lot over time. We've scaled down our editorial calendar in an effort, instead of trying to give quantity, just to give quality, rather than try to produce, 20, 30 pieces a week. We've been producing 12 to 15 pieces a week. 12 to 15 pieces of content over a course of 5 days, you'll see 12 to 15 pieces of content produced on Rolling Stone or Complex or Double XL in a morning. Like they'll produce that many pieces from 9 a.m. to noon. So we can't compete with that. We'll never be able to compete with that type of volume. We also completely got away from news. It's a rat race. Social media impacted the way that news is written and developed. It wasn't something we felt comfortable pursuing any further. And as I know you're well aware, but we made sure to stay away from celebrity news, gossip, and rumors. We've never touched it. Never will.
That's one thing I love about you guys.
I'd close up shop before I ever considered getting involved in any of those spaces. We have always aimed to educate our audience, help artists become discovered, and create discussion through poignant op-eds. It has never been of interest to me to point out artists who are arrested, who's having whose baby, who's dating who. All of that has nothing to do with the music. And the sad part is that is what has kept so many outlets alive, by honing in on celebrity news, gossip, and rumors. And
you said it
in this world, it's true. And in this industry and in the world at large, we're all judged by the company that we keep, right? And so by extension, because so many other music and specifically rap publications have done such a piss poor job of covering the industry and the culture, we're all judged under that same through that same lens. And so every day it's so disheartening to see people make these blanket statements like music journalism is dead and journalism is dead and hip hop journalism is dead. I get why they're saying it. I don't blame them for saying it. It just frustrates me that it's a sentiment because we're all being clumped under this same umbrella.
It's a lot to unpack right there.
It is a lot to unpack. Sorry, I just completely unloaded on you.
No, I want this conversation because I want people like-minded like us to listen to and be like, yo, he's right. Because it's again, we love this. We love this genre. I love everything that's happening in hip hop right now, for sure. Like, let me not be a Debbie Downer. I feel like these artists are like incredibly talented. I feel like they're moving even without the fact that they can't tour. But there's the disheartening part about it with all the bullshit going on.
Probably the most frustrating part about being an artist right now is just trying to exist and we're going to separate the pandemic from this conversation, right? So let's pretend that we're not going through a once in a generation pandemic, which makes things even more difficult. But let's just look at it through the prism of the day and age that we're in, right? It is so fucking hard to be a creative in the age of social media.
100%.
It's hard enough to be a creative, and then to have to manage a series of public profiles and keep them up to date constantly with content that's supposed to match your music, right? So the ideal way to manage a career now is to ensure that your social media profiles are at least an extension of the music. Absolutely. And not some like completely alternative universe. But if you're spending all your time on social media trying to keep up with your following, how are you really able to devote enough time to the music? And like, I don't know how artists do it. And there's a reason why every interview that we publish, every interview, whether the questions that are being asked or not talk about it, artists are bringing up their mental health or lack thereof. They're bringing up how exhausting it is to be an artist right now. And that's not even like touching on, the fact that it's so hard to generate an income as an artist right now. And
that's what they don't talk about.
Yeah, it's just, I'm exhausted for them because I'm exhausted and I'm not even an artist. I mean, I'm on social media and I see the comments and they bother me. I could post some advice and 100 people could say, oh my God, thank you so much for sharing. And one motherfucker could respond and say, yo, like, bald dude, like, no one asked for your opinion. And I'm like, hey man, like, why do you gotta go there? Like, why do we gotta talk about, but I'll I'll think about that for at least 10 minutes, and I'll actively be thinking to myself, get that shit out of your head. It's not important. But obviously, easier said than done.
It's hard to when you're passionate about this, man. Like this
Right.
isn't your hobby. You've turned a hobby into your actual business. So it's hard to just look at comments and just be like, I'm gonna ignore it. Like people are powerful. Like if you have the ability to not let the internet bother you, you are you're amazing. Because it's hard. It's hard to even act unbothered, dude. Like you know what I mean?
I don't even think it's possible. I think if someone
I don't either.
If someone claims that they're unbothered, they're lying. It's not human nature. What social media has done is it's put us as humans in this position to have to see negativity that otherwise would not enter our brains.
Yeah.
You know, away from social media, if something is a negative force that is in your orbit, you actively avoid that force. You sidestep it at all costs. You cut it out of your life. If you have a friend and every time you're in that person's company, everything that they have to say is negative, you stop seeing that friend. You don't call them anymore. You don't need that negativity. Social media, we're opting in to this negativity daily, and it's absurd. And for what I do, it's required. And that's why I've winnowed down the opportunities that I have to be accosted verbally and bothered. And so I don't have an Instagram account anymore. The only reason I have a Facebook account is because I need to be able to log into our company accounts.
Wow.
And they make you have a personal account to do that.
Actually.
Haven't updated Facebook in years. And Twitter is part of the gig. I mean, I have to have it in order to do my job. If I didn't, if I won the lottery tomorrow, if we sold our companies tomorrow, I would deactivate Twitter and I'd chuck my phone out the fucking window. I'd love to get away from it, but it's a necessary evil, at least right now.
I have a question about an artist who's doing something similar, so it seems, and I actually seen you defend him, and I met Logic we're talking about, and
yeah.
You know, he's retiring, and I don't blame him. And you know, have you ever met Logic?
I have, yeah.
So I met him once. I went to a show. My friends toured with him. My friend Jabron toured with him. So at this time, I think it was the True Incredible Story. This is one of the first rappers I've ever met in my life, right? So I'm nervous, huge Logic fan. And he was like the kindest human being ever. And like, I get it. It comes with the territory, like, yo, like slander, blah, blah, blah. And I fall into that as well. But it's like, yo, I don't know why, but it fucking irks me when it's Logic. So when I saw you defending him, I'm like, yo, another person who just understands, like, one, he's a dope rapper. So I don't understand it. And two, he's just a fucking great human being. Like, and I understand why he's like exhausted mentally. He doesn't want to tour. He's just gonna live his life. I get it.
When I posted about his decision that he had opened up about why he was retiring in an interview with Nick Huff for Hard Knock TV, people are saying, I don't get it. Like, why are people like that? Like, why are people mean to him? And I said, it's because people are assholes. Like that's the easy answer. To backtrack, I know Logic. I've known Logic since 2012.
Wow.
Short story. I'll keep it brief. So when we were hosting mixtapes, we were supposed to host a Logic mixtape.
Oh wow.
And we never ended up hosting it because his management had decided to go a different direction.
Okay. 2012. So this is like under pressure time.
This is before his debut with Def Jam.
2013. You're right. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, and you know, mixtape hostings at the time they fell apart all the time. So I never took it personally.
Of course.
Artists would agree to something and then go back on it, and it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so fast forward a couple of years, he's in Chicago on tour. His management calls me and says, you know, we'd love to have you come out to the show. I come out to the show. After the show, I sit down with him in his dressing room. First thing he says to me is, he goes, something's been bothering me for a while. He goes, I had promised you that you guys could host a mixtape on DJ Booth of mine. And Chris and Harrison and my management team decided to go in a different direction. And I was always hoping that you didn't take that personally.
Wow.
And I don't think you did. And I said, no, of course I didn't. He goes, but nonetheless, I want to just apologize because that's something that I've always thought about. I had forgotten about it. Like it wasn't even registering. Yeah. I had to actually recall what took place. He reminded me that had happened.
That's insane.
I thought it was such a representation of the kind-hearted soul that he is. And to be a kind-hearted soul and have to bear your emotions both online and through music in today's day and age is such a hard job. So like you said, I don't blame him for walking away at all. I don't believe it'll be forever. I mean, I don't know. But I'm going to quote a Yo piece. Rappers never really retire. Their only retirement is the brief periods in between new albums. And so I hope he comes back at some point when he's in a better place mentally in life. But kudos to him for taking time out to raise his kid. I would love to not have to worry about work and just raise my daughter. That would be incredible.
Manifest it. You said manifest
yeah.
earlier.
Well, that's a privileged position to be in, to not have to worry about bringing in new income and just focus on your children. But kudos to him. He's deserved the opportunity to make the decision to take time away.
And not for nothing.
I'll be so fortunate.
I want to say during the Everybody album, he mentioned that his next album was his last. So it's this, like, the fact that he gave us Project in Between, again, shows that he really likes the music thing. It's just it's draining, and I can tell, man. You can just tell that it's a draining thing. I use him as an example because it's the most recent, but I feel like almost every, especially in hip hop, they're just the mental health, like you touched on earlier, man. It's a lot, and
it is a lot.
I think Joe Budden always says that labels should have like therapy in this, like in the offices, and I think that's an amazing idea.
I do too. We actually spoke with LVRN. They're the label and creative agency that works with Summer Walker and Black, amongst other artists.
Oh, wow.
And they actually, I'm forgetting when, maybe January, February, or this year, announced that they would be putting together like a mental health division at their label. And they followed through with that. They offer mental health services, counseling, and support to all of their artists. And, I don't think it's going to become the norm because I'm pessimistic about how much the industry at large values the mental health of its workforce. However, it's common sense here. If your artists who are an investment, you're investing in them. If your artists are in a better place mentally,
they'll deliver.
The likelihood that the product that they're going to create is of a higher quality, is substantially higher. You could make the argument that when an artist is at a very bad place mentally, there isn't a likelihood for dynamic music because it could be cathartic through that process. They're working out their issues in the booth. But ask 100 artists out of 100 whether they'd rather be creating from a place of mental comfort versus mental anguish. And they will all uniformly tell you they would much rather be in a better place.
Of course.
So I hope other labels follow LVRN's lead. I think it would be incredible, but I don't see it happening.
I hope so too, man. I really do, because I want to see my artists that I love be here forever and enjoy it, because I doubt there's one. I mean, there's the lucky artist that gets on off their first song, but a lot of these guys, they've been dreaming about this. A lot of these guys and girls have been dreaming about this forever. So to get there and just be like, this is trash, and want to leave, like you mentioned Summer Walker, she's another one where I'm just like, yo, she's immensely talented. The fact that she doesn't really like this industry, and she just got in it, just attests to like what the hell is going on.
But I mean, how Summer feels is how most of these artists feel.
She just says it.
Yeah, she's just being honest about it. For a lot of artists, they're not enjoying what they're doing right now. And again, this predates the pandemic. This predates being unable to tour, and it's just all of the frustrations that come with having to live a COVID safe lifestyle.
Yeah.
I mean, artists have felt like for years now that they're just going through the motions. Obviously, I'm generalizing. This is not how everybody feels.
But a lot, for sure.
But I mean, I talk to hundreds of artists a week, hundreds, and we interview tens of artists a month. And like I said earlier in our conversation here, unprovoked, unsolicited, artists are opening up in interviews talking about just how unhappy they are about checking their social media or releasing new music. And so when you strip away the enjoyment that comes with creation and marketing, what is left? There's nothing left. And then you know what happens? The fans can tell. The fans can tell when you're just going through the motions. You might be able to fool them once because they love you, unless of course you have a fan base like Nicki Minaj, where the loyalty there goes above and beyond product.
I respect the Barbs, man. They ride. They ride.
But for most artists who are not fortunate enough to have Nicki's fan base, you know, after a while, it's like, I get it. You're just releasing this because you have to release new music. And there's just so many options now. Loyalty isn't really as strong as it once was. So if you're just going through the motions and you continue to churn out a stale product, fans have absolutely zero remorse for walking away and spending their time and future money on someone else.
Listen, this is the most fickle fan base ever. Like, one day I'll see someone calling so-and-so the GOAT, and after one bad album, it's like trash, canceled. I'm just like, damn. Just like
that's the world at large. Everything is either fire or trash.
Yeah.
You're either a god or you're canceled.
Classic or trash. Like, there's no in between. There's no such thing as an alright album. If you say something is overrated, it's like, no, it's a classic. You're crazy. Anyways, before I let you go, I have 2 questions.
Yep.
One, because this is quick, what's your favorite album in your vinyl wall? I've been peeping this whole time.
Well, here, first, check them all out. So there's all of them.
Wait, so I'm going to count all the same vinyls that I have while you figure out your favorite.
Man, you're really going to put me on the spot here.
So I have 15 of those vinyls I own as a vinyl myself. So,
man, I'm torn. Probably Ready to Die. I mean,
I respect that answer so much.
Or Illmatic. But you know, if depending on what day you ask, it could be ATLiens. You know, so I mean, I had these put up for 2 reasons. Number one, because otherwise I'd have a blank white wall in my office, and that would be boring and uninspirational. Maybe you need to get some put up behind you. But also, you know, to serve as a constant reminder of why I got involved in music and why I do this every day. Because there are days where it doesn't feel like a dream job. There are days where I'm in an inbox all day. I'm answering emails all day, and phone calls and Zoom meetings and text messages. And I'm not even really able to listen to anything because I can't concentrate on the work at hand. And it zaps me of my inspiration, my love. And so all I need to do is flip my chair around and look at the wall and remind me of a lot of these albums, some of which I love the cover art, but most of them, I love them, the source material and the artists behind them.
I respect it. I'm glad I asked that question.
It's a far deeper answer than I expected to give you.
No, I expected that. It's there's a lot of albums and none of them sound like each other. So like
No.
In my head, the second I saw it, I'm like, I gotta ask before I end this. And my last question, because typically when I do a Kickin It, I always want to like regroup a year later or 2 years later and just kind of like check in, see how everything's going. So next time we talk, what are the 2 biggest goals for Audiomack and DJBooth?
Great question.
And next year we'll talk about it and see if we accomplished it or see if we're well on the way.
For DJBooth, I'd like to ensure that we can solidify the future of our journalistic efforts in a space where it's just so hard to survive. And so in a year, I hope that the DJ Booth brand still exists. But beyond that is oh well, thank you, from your lips to God's ears. Is in a place where it can not just survive but thrive.
Okay.
I don't want to just try to hang on to the raft. I want to be on the ship with a seatbelt on. So that's DJ Booth. Audiomack, I mean, we've grown about 140% over the past 18 months. We're reaching over 18 million unique active users every month. Thank you. We're top 10 free music app in the United States, and we're number 1 in Kenya, Ghana, Tanzania, and Nigeria.
Flex on
and and we're slowly picking up market share in a lot of other large countries as we expand our licensing deals. And so, we're going to be in a lot more territories over the next year, including Canada, the UK, and France.
Wow, congratulations.
And thank you so much. And I think further diversifying who we are as a brand, very few, I can't think of any other DSPs are focusing in on artist education, providing artist services, and helping artists who are at the very infancy stage of their career eliminate all unnecessary middlemen. And so, for instance, if you want your work on Spotify or Apple Music or Tidal, you need to go through a distributor. Yep. You cannot get your work up on those platforms yourself.
Nope.
You certainly can't monetize them. And so what we're doing is we're putting artists in a position to succeed without having to pay for it. And so you can now directly distribute on Audiomack, apply for monetization. That means that you can do the work yourself if you're at a point in your career where you're not ready for a label. Mm-hmm. You're not sure if you want to sign on with a distributor. You just want to do it yourself, and that's fine. And by empowering artists and not charging them a dime for anything. So all the tools that we offer through our creative dashboard, SoundCloud offers all of that, but you have to pay a monthly subscription fee for it. We don't charge artists anything. And by providing them with all these tools and giving them this platform to succeed, by extension, they almost become part of our marketing team. We're empowering them. They feel great about it because a platform is behind them. And then as they succeed, we succeed. And so we're only as strong as the artists who utilize our platform and then, publicly discuss with their following, their colleagues. You're good. You're good.
Sorry.
Why what we're doing matters. So hopefully that continues. You're good, man. Don't worry about it.
Nah, it's not even like I'm on like my friend's laptop and her mom's calling.
Oh, we'll pick up next time. We'll three-way her in and see if she wants to join the conversation.
I think she just picked up. I got a text.
Okay.
But listen, and I'm happy you said that 18-month gap, because not for nothing, I want to say like a year ago, I just noticed again, I've had Audiomack for years. I think it's been connected to my Facebook since like the dawn of time, right?
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I was always into Audiomack and Genius very early, just because I thought it was cool. So I've noticed there's been an increase in like the promotion, how projects are being dropped. I've noticed that you guys have always been on top of things, but I've noticed there's been a shift. So I'm actually glad.
Love it.
I'm not the crazy. I thought I was crazy. I'm like, have I not been paying attention?
No, you're not crazy. But I'm glad that I obviously, like, we believe in what we're doing internally, but it never hurts to have someone outside of the building validate those efforts. So when you say, I recognize what you're doing, that feels good. Everyone likes validation. Even if someone says like, I know what we're doing is working. No, you shut up. You like hearing it. So thank you. I love hearing that.
Also, never stop the trap symphonies you guys do.
Oh man, we have huge plans for Trap Symphony. I cannot talk about it right now, but the artists that we have lined up and the plans that we have in place for the next iteration of Trap Symphony, I couldn't be more excited about. That is as much as I could possibly tease from a legal perspective.
Listen, it's okay.
But just trust me, it's going to be incredible.
Don't ever stop those. I want to say So the Chief Keef one was the first one I saw, but it was the Dirk, no auto Dirk performance. So I'm just like, this is genius. This is amazing. And that's like, this is real reactions.
Shout out to David Pani, our co-founder and CMO, Dave Mackley, founder and CEO, and Taylor Gutenberg, otherwise known as DJ T-Gut, our creative director. They are the brain children and executioners of this series and its various permutations as we have gone along from Migos to, you mentioned Chief Keef and Dirk, to A Boogie and Burna Boy. I mean, we have such great talent lined up. I'm so excited. I'm going to stop myself because I don't want to accidentally spoil anything.
It's all good.
All right.
It's all good. I expected no tips, so I was letting you know, don't ever stop it because it's amazing.
I promise. We won't.
My dude, thank you so much for your time. I know you're a very busy person, so take the hour to talk to me. Thank you so much, man.
No, I really enjoyed this conversation. My wife has texted me several times asking me what time I will be home for dinner. So I'm going to go let her know, and hopefully I don't have to cook it.
Hey, so I hear you, man. Yo, thank you so much again. Hopefully this is the last time we talk.
Well, it won't be. Just annoy me. You're good.
I will. You gave me permission. I got you.
Yeah, it's fine. Hit me up anytime.
It's awesome, man. Have a good night.
All right. Take care, Coog.